This video is brought to you by Squarespace. This used to be my travel setup, a huge backpack filled with heavy gear that I thought I needed, and half of it never left the bag. On top of that, I still had to carry a sling for shooting days, plus another bag for clothes and a laptop. It was just too much. And this right here is what I travel with now. All of my photo and video gear fits in this tiny 4-liter sling, and the crazy part is, I don't feel limited at all. I feel much lighter, more free when I travel, and as a consequence, I actually enjoy shooting even more. So in this video I want to share the setup that for me is really close to its final form in terms of minimalism, without sacrificing in quality and features and the type of shots I can get. I start with the one piece of gear that made its way into my kit the most recently, and probably the one that makes the biggest difference, the DJI Osmo Nano. It's DJI's smallest action cam, or is it? It's actually really hard to qualify what this camera is because DJI has the Osmo Actions, their true line of action cam that is separate from this Osmo Nano. It's like DJI's unclassified, minimal, smallest and put it everywhere kind of camera, and I absolutely love it. I got it shortly after the release and I paid for it with my own money, and so far it's been able to do everything my bigger and heavier GoPro 11 was doing for me. It's really the stealth and lightweight at its best without compromising on image quality. I use the magnetic pendant and it is so light that when I have it on me I can really forget about it. I remember the days when I attached my GoPro with a chest strap feeling awkward and just looking stupid. This would really create so much resistance for me to go out and record some POV sequences. I used to define a certain period of the day where I would put the GoPro on, record straight for an hour or so, and then put it back in the bag and use an alternative way to document the rest of the day because I just couldn't put up with the GoPro for longer. Still, I managed to make one significant upgrade before getting the Osmo Nano when I switched to this kind of neck mount. I always thought that they looked too simple to be working well, but I was wrong, I must say. I think it is as good as a chest strap for just chill walking photography POV, and it's much easier to install and remove. You still look a bit stupid, and I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm a bit sensitive around the neck, and having such structure and such weight on the neck for a long period of time becomes quite uncomfortable and sometimes even triggering a slight headache. And also, once you want to put this setup back into your sling bag, it takes a bunch of space. But now, all this is solved with the Osmo Nano and the magnetic pendant. And yes, when detached from the dock, it doesn't have a screen and you can change settings, but since I'm not trying to make a movie out of action cam footage, it's really more a set it and forget it kind of mindset I have, and for that the Osmo Nano is perfect. That said, I use it with some level of intentionality. I don't stick it to my chest, turn it on and record until it dies. Usually what I do is that I turn it on and off as I find compositions, or when I feel like something is likely to happen if I'm more in this street photography context. And with this kind of usage, I never run into like overheating issues, but we'll see how it holds up next summer because it was released after the climate became bearable again here in Japan. But I guess with only like limited uninterrupted shooting, it shouldn't be too much of an issue, but let's see. Like I said, the image quality is very good when you consider the size of this tiny camera, and the wide de-warp mode gives you tons of angle of view, great for those POV sequences when you try to show what you're doing, and with the DJI D-Log-M and the 10-bit color, you really get a pleasing image. It's even plenty good enough to place the camera somewhere while you step into the frame doing something, or if you want to talk to the camera. And this detachable setup with the dock also gives you some flexibility when you try to film yourself. You can check your framing and make sure that you don't spend the whole sequence like outside of the frame. So as you could understand, this is mostly a practical and utilitarian camera for me. I'm not trying to make it as cinematic as possible and extract every single percentage point of image quality with it. And I even recently got some ND filters for it, but after a few tests I am not sure I want to bother with that. Because the purpose of the Osmo Nano for me was to make my life easier with almost no quality and feature loss compared to the GoPro 11, so starting to mess with ND filters reinstalls some headache that I don't really want. I picked the version with 128 gigs of internal storage, which is plenty enough for a good solid day of shooting. When traveling, I have my laptop, so I offload the footage at night and format it for the next day. The battery is also way better than I expected from such a tiny camera. It's shared between the camera and the dock, so when you take a break or drive to another location, you can put it on the dock for it to recharge. And with this very natural recharging cycle throughout the day, I finished my days like far from being completely out of battery. I still own also the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, but being a photographer, I usually have my Sony camera with me, and that lets me capture a very nice B-roll, so a camera like the Pocket 3 becomes a bit redundant. It's not practical to shoot POV with with it, and the Osmo Nano plus a smartphone will do more than a Pocket 3 can do, and even better I would say. You would be surprised how good some static footage of the Osmo Nano looks, and if I need some control on my focus point for some vloggy clips or to talk about a composition, my phone does the job perfectly. Before moving on, I'll just take a minute to talk about Squarespace, who is kindly sponsoring this video. Squarespace is the solution for my own website and run my online store. It's so easy to use and you can create a beautiful website in minutes, connect with your audience and sell anything from physical to digital products. What made me choose and stick to Squarespace is the simplicity in how it works and how you can really personalize your website, but also how it covers basically all my needs. This year I expanded my offering on my site with the launch of an online course on photo editing, and I'm so happy to have everything under the same website. It's easier to manage for me and better for the students that are not jumping around different platforms to access the course content. You don't need any coding or web design knowledge. Building a website from scratch is very easy, smooth and even enjoyable I would say. They also have high quality templates so you can begin designing your website on a solid foundation and customize it as you like to fit your style and visual identity. Squarespace is the perfect solution for both growing and established online businesses, running a blog, or simply having a portfolio presented the way you like. You can head over to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, and when you're ready to launch your website, go to squarespace.com/Adrian to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for the support, and now let's get back to the video. Next online is the main photography camera, and this hasn't changed. The Sony a7C II is everything I need. It's full frame, 33 megapixel, it has insane video and photo features, and the best autofocus on the market, so really I think it doesn't need too much of an introduction. I also have the a7 IV, which is also a fantastic camera. It's better equipped for client work with like double SD card slots, etc. But for what I do, the a7C II is enough. On my recent trip to Nagano, I used the a7 IV a lot because I shot with a standard zoom lens, the Sigma 28-70mm, and it's undeniably more comfortable than the a7C II with a bigger lens like this. But if you've watched my latest video, you would know that I was not fully satisfied with the zoom lens experience. I have traveled many times with just a prime, and that's what I will go back to, I think. So that's why I talk about the a7C II in this minimal setup video. The prime lenses I use are never the premium and fast ones opening to f1.4 because the a7C II is not the camera for it, I think. The a7C II is at its peak in terms of performance, usability and fun when paired with compact primes. So whatever focal length you prefer, as long as the lens itself doesn't exceed 300 grams, you're good to go. I personally love the 35mm focal length, and I think that the lens that has the best performance to cost ratio at this focal length is the Sigma 35mm f2. It's a fantastic lens with a bit of character, the f2 aperture that gives you a bit more flexibility and room to play with if you shoot a bit of portraits and other stuff. But weirdly enough, it's not the lens that I would recommend for the a7C II. Like I said before, 300 grams is where a lens starts to be a bit heavy for the a7C II, making the setup not too comfortable and very front heavy. That's why as of today my go-to 35mm lens for the a7C II is still the Sony Zeiss 35mm f2.8 pancake lens. It's not the perfect lens, but it has so many things to love about. It has very good sharpness, micro contrast, a very nice color rendition and a good build quality for a ridiculous like 120 grams. But on the flip side, it's not fully water sealed, it does not have the best minimal focus distance, it struggles a bit when shooting backlit, and you could think that it's a bit expensive for a lens that only opens at f2.8. That's why I keep trying other 35mm lenses to see if one could be a better alternative to the Sony Zeiss, and lately I've been trying the Tamron 35mm f2.8, which is also a very solid option at only half of the price. I'll make a more detailed video about it after more time with it, but I can already say that if you want the best 35mm Sony E-mount lens under 200 grams, the best option is still the Sony Zeiss 35mm f2.8. Maybe in the end the price is justified if you consider what you get in such a tiny package. But there are plenty of other options, and even more if you consider other focal lengths, but for me the weight and that 300 gram barrier are what influence my choice for a lens at a specific focal length for the a7C II. So for my main photography and a nice B-roll camera, in such case the Sony camera, I would also bring some sort of an ND or VND filter. I am not too obsessed with my video exposure settings, I just want my footage to be correctly exposed at 50th of a second because I shoot at 24 fps. So for the Sony Zeiss lens I have this little ND16 filter screwed on the lens hood. When I shoot photos, I leave it in my pocket if I'm wearing a jacket, or in my sling bag in summer when wearing lighter clothes. And once I want to grab a video clip, I pop it on my lens. It's very easy to connect, shoot the video, and then remove the lens hood. And with the Tamron and its 67mm filter thread, I have a magnetic VND, making the whole hybrid process even easier. But again, I'm not too obsessed with my settings, so I got a VND because that's the one I could find with the magnet mount. I would have been very happy with also just ND16 that has magnets, but I couldn't get my hands on one here somehow. And like I said before, no ND filter for the Osmo Nano for the unnecessary headache it creates, and also because when you use it as a POV camera and walk around, you need some speed on the shutter speed for the footage not to look too jittery. If you walk around at 50th of a second, the stabilization struggles, so I think it's not worth the burden. And following up on the DJI Osmo Nano situation, let's cover audio now. And one other great feature of this tiny camera is its built-in mic. It's very capable in easy situations. You can talk when doing POV or when filming yourself like vlogging style, and the sound will be perfectly fine, I think. It's only when the wind picks up that it starts to struggle, so that's why I got a mic for it, but I think I made the wrong choice. I picked the DJI Mic Mini, which is very nice in terms of form factor and audio quality. It is just quite limited because it only records when you shoot video with the connected camera, in my case the Osmo Nano. You cannot record internally, which really limits the use cases. I think you would be better off spending a bit more and get a DJI Mic 3 if you want an external mic. With the Mic 3, you can record internally, giving you a lot more freedom when traveling to get clean audio, not only when recording video on the Nano. It's not a huge deal for me, I would say, and I'm not even sure to get a Mic 3 because I do a lot of my talking in post, either in the form of like voiceover or A-roll, but yeah, the Mic 3 is almost as small as the Mic Mini, so it's a better complement to this setup, I think. And to complete the set of items that goes into the sling bag, I have an external battery, my phone, my wallet, and my AirPods. Both cameras, so the Sony and the Osmo Nano, have very good batteries that can last a full day, if not very heavily used. I rarely have to charge any of them mid-shoot, so that's why I prefer a mobile battery. It's more versatile as it can charge any of my devices, cameras, and phone. And I always have a few stops during the day, so I don't need the immediate battery replacement from a spare battery. Then my phone is the iPhone 16 Pro. It's a phone, yes, and a bloody capable camera if I need it. But I think I don't need to elaborate on that too much. Same for the rest, my wallet because I don't want to starve, and my AirPods for when I feel like listening to music or watching some YouTube when having lunch or something. So all of that goes in this small but surprisingly roomy everything sling 4 liter from Moment. And by the way, both the sling and the backpack I will talk about later are from this company Moment. They hooked me up with both of them more than 6 months ago, and I'm sorry because I haven't done any shootout to them, but now it's time, I guess. I've tested these for a bunch of time and I would be happy to pay for them, even double the amount if necessary. They are just so good. They are practical, comfortable, and stylish, so they tick all boxes for me. So the sling main compartment can be divided by this Velcro divider. I make one space for the camera and another one for the phone, the battery, and the wallet. In the upper front pocket, I put the Osmo Nano with the pendant, the mic, and the ND filter for the Sony camera. In that second, smaller front pocket, I put my keys, cleaning cloth, USB cable for charging, and my AirPods. The bag even has an internal slip pocket for your receipts, your Kindle, or passport if flying internationally. It also has a hidden pocket facing you for other flat valuables. By the way, there were also 2 lash straps to carry a tripod underneath, and they were always getting off and hanging around. I never use a tripod, so I opted for the simple DIY solution of cutting them off. So the bag as it is now is my go-to sling when traveling, when I'm out for the day shooting. Usually my Sony camera and the Osmo Nano are always out to shoot stuff, so the bag becomes even lighter, but it is important that it can fit everything if I have to rush under pouring rain or something. And also here at home it became the sling that I use the most for everyday errands. And I also have the Bellroy everyday sling, but it's just less practical. It's a bit bigger, but the flimsy non-removable dividers inside and the one-sided opening are things that I don't like very much. Here with the Moment sling, the opening is big and goes a bit extra on the side, so you can really access and rearrange your stuff in the bag very nicely and efficiently. With that, I have the Everything Backpack 21 liter. It's not a camera bag, but you can put an insert inside if you want, which I also have, but I wouldn't call it necessary. because all my camera, photo and video making gear is inside the sling, so the backpack is here just to carry my laptop and my changes for 3-4 days of traveling. Like I said in the past, I like to travel with an extra camera body just in case, so that's why I still put the insert at the bottom of the bag with my A7 IV. Then I put all my clothes, underwear, t-shirts, etc. on top of it. My laptop goes in the dedicated pocket here. I think it can fit up to 14 inches easily. And there is also a bunch of other very useful like flat pockets here in the back for documents, pens and all this kind of stuff. In the main compartment you also have like this small pocket in which you can put like spare SD cards, chargers, cables and other like Osmo Nano accessories that I may use. You also have a water bottle pocket on the side to stay hydrated on your travel days, and another front pocket for more stuff if you need. The back and the straps are nicely padded, and you have these sternum straps to better balance like heavy loads. Overall, it's a very practical, comfortable and simple design backpack that is not screaming that you have some expensive tech inside. So that's it. That's the setup when traveling. I have the backpack on the back, the sling in front, feeling fairly light and having access to all my essentials to pay, to go through gates and even grab a shot when the situation calls for it. And when I'm out for the day, I really just have this sling bag that has everything I need to capture some stunning footage and photos while still being very compact, and it's just so freeing, and yeah, I enjoy shooting a lot more than having to carry kilos of unnecessary gear. So I hope this video serves as inspiration for you to craft your most minimal yet powerful travel setup. Nowadays you can really get images and footage of the highest quality standards in a very small and mobile package, which is just awesome for us. So now it's your time to opt for something minimal and step out the door to capture images and having fun. See you in a bit. Thanks for watching. Bye.